Hi, good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Hi, teacher.
Good
Morning.
morning, teacher. Good
How
morning,
are,
teacher.
how are you guys today? Good, so more or less.
Good. Good
Right.
so far.
Okay. I'm sorry that my camera is not on. I'm having a very bad case of migraine today, and all the lights are making me go crazy. But I'm okay. All right. So today we're going to continue with the presentation that we were having last week. Which was cooperative learning. And today, basically, we're going to list. Well, we're going to have the presentation for the activities to promote cooperative learning in the classroom. And today, we start with Andrea Beltran. You're the one who started with this, right?
Yeah,
Okay. So you tell me when you're ready.
I'm ready.
Okay. All right.
Okay, so all these activities, so these both of these activities that we're going to talk about, they're all they're activities that promote what we've already been talking about for cooperative learning. And this first one is called the write around, and it's good for creative writing, but also for summarizing information. Like if you have a unit and then you want to summarize everything in the unit, you split the people up into teams, usually four, like four people in each team, and you start them off with a sentence. In this case, they use if you give an elephant a cookie, and each person in the team is gonna read it and then add something to it, like individually. So they're given time to read it, and um then maybe like a minute to write something, and then like this is timed, and then the paper is going to go to the right, and then the next, and then this next person reads what was written and then adds to it. And after everybody's had a chance to write something, then the teacher gives them the opportunity to, as a team, edit what was written, like go over it, and then once it's as perfect as it can get, then they share it.
All right. So yeah, basically it's what Andrea is mentioning. Now, have you ever done something like this in your classroom? And not in your classroom, like in a class or as an activity with your teachers or you with your students or something similar to this?
I did. It was for a science class, and it was about cells, and yeah, it was basically it was a way for us to study the information, because we would have to go through and read what everyone wrote. So in a way it would like refresh our memory, and then we had to come up with something. But yeah, it was for science. It seemed random at the time, but now I understand why.
Okay, very good. What about the rest?
Yes, teacher. For me, like 2 semesters ago,
Hmm.
when I was like taking a subject teaching and writing,
Okay.
we used to do some this activity. It's like being in a group, like in a team for 3 members or four, and we have to write about like if we want to make a story. So I will like it first sentences by imagining, and also for when I finish sentences, I will give it to the person who is next to me, and he or she will complete the story, and then it goes around.
Yeah. Yeah, pretty much. In this case, it was for you to complete the story as you're mentioning. So
Yeah.
yes. Okay. Very good. Anyone else who has done something similar to this? Maybe not with the same purpose, but something similar or no? So normally it's like Hassan says, especially for example when we're teaching English to students, and it can be for any level, but also we need to be aware that maybe not everyone like uh, English learners still maybe might not have a lot of vocabulary, but you actually can use it to either make sentences using verbs in simple present, like very something very simple, And you can start creating, as Hassan mentioned, that is something that we do normally in English classes. Like we make students in groups, and then they start passing around the paper, creating a story with simple verbs, or if it's in the past, if it's something that they want to do in the future. But it's a way for them to be able, one, they are practicing their reading comprehension because they are reading what the rest wrote, something similar to what Andrea was saying, but also for them to start like developing more vocabulary, expanding their writing, which is basically the important part in here. Okay. Any questions that you have with this particular activity? No?
No.
All right. And let's continue. This one's yours, Andrea?
Yep.
Okay.
Okay, so this one is called the tea party, and probably because at a tea party you mingle, and here you do too, but in a more controlled way. What you do is you have two circles. They refer to them as concentric circles because they share a center. It can be one and then one on the outside. The point is you should be able, or you can do two lines. That might be easier. The point is to have the students facing each other, and you ask a question. The students across from each other have to discuss. And after a certain amount of time, usually like a minute, the line moves to the right or the outside circle. So then they get a new partner, and then you ask them a second question, and you could do this for several rounds, and or they could even write their own questions, and they discuss it, and it gives them a chance to talk to different people, and it can be different questions, different topics, but it's about getting them to talk to each other.
Yeah, pretty much. So this party, as I think what you said summarizes, like it's pretty much having them to talk. It can be as a warm up. Why not? You can start doing a tease party to kind of like have students engaged, or at least move around from the very beginning, because maybe they are tired from a previous class, or you know what, maybe they just arrived from work to the classroom and they are tired and they definitely don't want to be sitting around. So this is something that you can do. There are many ways to arrange this. It can be like the inner and out circle, as Andrea mentioned, or the fluency lines, which are the two lines where they face each other. And it's basically for them, as it says, fluency. They get to speak. Okay. So the idea is, one, they are not only interacting with one person, they are moving around with different students. That means they get more exposure to different ideas and they get to speak a little bit more. And it is communicative. That's the whole. Remember that now, especially for English classes, the students, they want to speak. So they want to speak. They don't want to, now sometimes they don't want to just be sitting around listening to the teacher give the explanation about the rules. Like that's sometimes, yes, it works, but not not for today's learners. So we gotta find a way for these activities to do them in the class so that they can have that opportunity and feel, okay, I'm speaking. Maybe, you know what, they are not pronouncing correctly. Maybe my focus is not for them to pronounce the words correctly, but I'm having them speak. Later, maybe in another class, I'm gonna practice pronunciation. But in this party activity, I'm gonna have them work with different students, with the different people from the class, and my only focus is fluency, speaking, communicate. Sorry. That's that would be my idea for them, and it's just pretty much it can be free, especially for this. or it can be guided. I tell them, you know what? Why don't you write 5 questions you want to ask to your classmates? You finish writing? Okay, so let's start. It can be free. They can speak whatever they want, or it can be guided, and they already have the questions. So one, because this can help you control the time even more. Okay, because we also need to be aware of timing. Have you ever done something like this as a student or as a teacher?
Well, I think you need to have a small group. I mean, about 10 students or something like that. Because
Mm,
if you get more than 20, there will be a lot of noise with all the groups working together.
well, it depends. The thing is that yes and no. Um, the thing is that, for example, again, normally, and I'm gonna say this normally because what we want is for them to speak. So if we have this type of activities, I mean, they are going to speak. And as a teacher, I have to be moving around, and I have to be able to listen to everyone. So it can be a group of 10, 12, 20 students, and it's going to work even better, especially if the group is big, because they are going to have more time to practice their speaking. That's what they want. And it might be a little bit noisy, but I mean, it's normal, I guess that I want to say, because again, the exposure that they are having with the language is greater than we think. Even sometimes, and I'm gonna say this, sometimes when we have 10 students, it's not enough. Like, because one, they are going to be working with the same person. And sometimes it's tiring. As an English student, sometimes it's a little bit tiring to be working with the same person. So when we have a big group, it's better. Maybe not ideal, but it's better for them to get that exposure of, I'm having more connection with other students, and I'm speaking a little bit more with different people who give me their different perspective.
Also, teacher, I was thinking that it would be cool even for them to like get to talk to other students that they normally wouldn't talk to, and they might even connect and be friends.
Yeah,
And
that's the thing. Yeah, because the thing is that, for example, when we say it's going to be noisy, it's not really. The thing is that as a teacher, I have to be, and it happens to me because, for example, on Saturdays when we were at the school, I used to have classes of 25, almost 30 students in the classroom. So I don't know if you have seen the Relaciones Culturales classroom. They are big, but they are not like public school big classroom. So imagine having 28, 30 students in the classroom. I mean, literally, one of the classes that I had, I didn't even have space to move a lot because I had a lot of students. So that's when you have to manage classroom management. Okay, how am I going to put them? And also, who am I going to put with? Something that Andrea is saying. Do I put them with the same person that they normally speak? Or do I want to challenge them a little bit more? And I get them speak with other people they are not used to. So what we need to be, I guess, what we need to be aware as teachers is focus on the people you want to listen. Because you know what? Maybe I say Andrea Torres and Aster. I put them together, but I think that maybe Aster is not going to speak a lot. I'm not sure, but I'm gonna focus maybe a little bit on that particular pair, in that particular group. And then I know that, for example, I know that Andrea Beltran and Hassan, they speak a lot and they communicate a lot, so I'm not gonna have a lot of problems with that. But I know that they are doing it. So maybe I need to focus my attention sometimes as a teacher in a particular group, but also be aware of the rest. So it doesn't matter if it's a small group or if it's a big group. I guess when you have, as a teacher, you need to just have the objective of, you know what, I'm gonna listen to them, I'm gonna listen to them, and I'm gonna listen to them. So, but yeah, because the thing is that sometimes we can say, you know what, yes, maybe a small group is best, but sometimes it's not because of wanting your students to speak more and communicate, because sometimes it's tiring to just speak with the same people, because it happens. What do you do? Okay, so you have a group of 10 students. I'm gonna put the same person together with the other, because they always work well, and that's not the idea. Okay, anyone else who wants to say something about this particular activity?
I had something similar, and I didn't know, to be honest, that it was called like that. It was with Miss Anna last semester, and I remember that I don't remember the topic that we were talking, but it was about 5 words. So to like practice the topic, you have to talk about with your partner about what are you going to do using those words. So we were talking like, hey, this and that, and then like move, like the teacher said, like move, and then you have to go with another classmate. So we like talk with each other.
Mm-hmm.
Doing
Yeah.
this.
And for example, it can be something very simple, as you're saying, like just how you're gonna use the words, or it can be just one sentence, and you can, you know what, talk to each other and mention what you think about the sentence. For example, it can be something very simple, and or it can be something very specific, and the students are gonna get a lot more from those activities rather than just sitting around and listening to the teacher give instructions or just like put something on the board. All right, very good. Anyone else that would like to mention something before we continue?
I think this activity maybe it work for icebreaker, like from the first day of the class.
Mhm.
It could
Yeah.
be used.
It could be, sorry.
Yeah, it could be useful because like being like in inside and outside circle, maybe we can write like 2 or 3 questions like in screen or so on the board. Maybe the first student that they are like in inside circle has to ask the person that is facing, and also when he finishes, so the next one he goes to the next question. Maybe it could be better like we can use it.
Yeah, definitely. It can be for a lot of things, like, but again, it can be free or it can be like guided with questions. So it's more about us teachers using our imagination and creativity to have them work with something like this. All right, anybody else? All right, so we're gonna continue, and if I'm not mistaken, we continue with you, Ulises, right? Hold on, give me a second just to make sure. This one, this one was yours.
Oh yeah, this is my part.
Okay.
This technique is called think, pair, share. It's a technique for encourage the individual participation and applies to any level, to all grades. And the students uh, will think about one question, and they are going to use these 3 steps. The first step is think, and it's about like think independently about the question, and like make their own ideas. And the second step is pair. And in this step, you are going to discuss with your partner, with a pair, about what you think about the question, and you you're going to do your opinion, and your pair is going to do their opinion, and the step is share. Uh, but in this step, we are going to share our ideas, but with the whole class. And this is students first they share their ideas with the larger group, such as whole class. Often students are more comfortable presenting ideas to group with the support of the partner. Um, Here we have like um, like a wide opinion about the topic, because we discuss with other partner or other guide. We have our own talks, and we have the support of the classmate, and now we can share an more complete idea about the topic or the question. Mm, but I think that it's it. This is the three steps: think, pair, and share.
So you know what? This particular one, TPS, think per share. This is something that you are probably going to listen to all your Lely semesters, where you have to plan lesson plans, or even when you're doing practicum, when you prepare the lesson plans and you teach. Think per share is basically that individual moment you give the student to work on the activity. When they finish, they don't share with the teacher. They actually work in a group or with a pair, to compare what they did individually or independently, and then from this they're actually going to share, either if it's the answers or whatever the teacher is asking. Why do you think it's like this? They have an activity, they do it individually, they compare with a partner, not with the teacher, and then they compare with the teacher, or they share. Why do you think it's like that?
Maybe because the other students have different opinions.
Okay, so it's to compare different opinions. Okay, what else? What do you think?
Maybe because they can share something, but at the same time be accountable. So have individual accountability and then as a group.
Okay, yeah, that could also be part of it. Any other idea?
Well, I think working in pairs always will be a previous step before facing whole group.
Okay, so why do you think? And let's focus on the thing that you're mentioning, Alejandro. Why do you think it's like working in a pair or in pairs? It's better before checking answers or checking whatever information the teacher asks you to work on. It's better before actually do that. Why do you guys think that?
Well, I think you got the option to make mistakes and correct them without being in front of a big audience.
Exactly, pretty much. So think per share is that when you are, for example, imagine that you are asking them to work on a grammar activity or on a book activity, I don't know, something you want them to produce. Maybe it's the first time that you're doing it. Maybe they have been practicing a lot, and now it's their time to do it. You want them to do it individually because you want them to work on whatever they understood. As it says, they are forming ideas on their own. They are maybe completing an activity or whatever, but they are doing it individually. If I, as a teacher, tell them, you know what, give me the answers, they are not going to have that opportunity of making or checking if they have mistakes and potentially correcting the mistakes with a classmate. Why? Like you're saying, that is not the exposure of, you know what, you made a mistake in front of the whole class, and I am, as a teacher, exposing you to the rest. So what happens, they feel a little bit, sometimes they feel bad when you do that.
Yeah.
It's wrong. No. So what do? You know what? You two work in pairs, check if you have the same answer. And if not, just check, compare, or you know what, correct if you think that there is a mistake. When they finish that, now I want them as a teacher for them to give me the answers. My interaction with them is giving the instructions, watching them work, and then watching them or listening to them telling me the answers that they have.
But at the end, the participation or the answers are individual.
Yeah, in the end, they are working individually. Yeah, pretty much all of the answers that they form is individual. When they work in pairs, it's for them pretty much to help each other. They are not. The thing is that in here, my position or my interaction as a teacher with them is only observing them or acting as a facilitator, not so much as a teacher, because they are working with each other, helping correct, potentially correct if there are any mistakes. So in the end, yes, it's true. They started working individually. They continued working cooperatively in pairs or in groups, depending. And then after they form all of this or they corrected this, they share their ideas to the whole group, and with the teacher in the end, because in the end, you also want to make sure that the answers that they have are correct. But yeah, they are working individually. They get that opportunity of correct themselves in pairs, and then they just, in the sharing part, they pretty much just confirm if their answers are correct or not. And if you see as a teacher, you know what, that all of the answers are incorrect, maybe you get that opportunity of continue working again, correcting that mistake that they had. So that's the whole thing, TPS or think per share. You have the individual moment, you have the pairing moment, and then as a whole group. And in the end, it's going to help them because they are going to be able to work individually, but also you're fostering or you're promoting cooperative learning, because that's the whole idea, for them to work cooperatively in the end. Have you ever done something like this in your classes or as students?
I think this is most common technique.
Yeah, definitely. And like I said, this is something that you're probably going to see, I would say, a big part of your students' career here in Nelly, because that's something that we want them to, that we want you guys to do in your classes. But yeah, it is I would say that it's the most common, and not everybody, unfortunately, not everybody does it. It should be something that it should be included in your lesson plan or in your class, but not everybody wants to do it. They still, as teachers sometimes they just want, okay, work, and then you tell me the answer, and that's not, you are not really helping them become independent students. You're just going again with the same circle of old school, and that's not the best. because that's when they don't learn. Especially nowadays that the learning focus is for them to be independent students, even if it's a language they are studying. Anyone else who has done something like this or that has participated in something like this? All right, so let's continue with the next one, Ulises. Jigsaw reading. What?
I don't know about this. It's because the next slide is for.
Yeah, the next one is
No, it's not.
Genesis.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this one, the jigsaw reading, we have different, I would say that we have different techniques. So Genesis, if you want, you can start.
Okay, but alright, well, the jigsaw reading is kind of a technique that you can use into your group. In this activity, a group, you have to assign the whole group in small groups, and each individual person is assigned a unique material, like as it says there, to learn and then to teach his students. And for example, in here, for example, the number 1 will have certain information. Number 2, a different one. Number 3, another thing. And number 4, another. So as you see, the number 1 knows the same as every individual in the other group. Number 2 as well. Number 3 and number 4. So yeah, at the end, once that they read all the information, they come to the different members in the group and they share the information with each other. So for example, this group is an expert in a certain topic, and once they come to the other group, they will share what they learned. Yep.
Yeah, so pretty much I think that summarizes everything. So a jigsaw, normally we do it for readings. It can also be for listening activities. So yes, it's as it says in here. There's always a person who is, what you want is to divide your group depending on the amount of students and depending on what you want them to achieve. So you either put them together. Number 1s, they work together. Number 2s, 3s, and 4. And then once they finish reading or working on whatever they are doing, they are going to, all of the numbers are going to form a group and basically share. So in this case, again, it depends on what you want them to achieve. If it's a reading, if it's a listening, or if it's something else, in the end, all of them are going to cooperatively work together and share whatever you are giving them to work on, or whatever you are having them practice. Normally it is for readings, but it can also be for listenings. I don't know if you have ever done something like this in your classes. I would say that especially for English classes, although it can be for specific content, but I don't know if you have done something like this as a student. No? Okay, so this is something that I would say probably I don't know if you have had teaching listening or teaching reading as a second language in Lely, but probably when you have those subjects, you are probably going to see these type of activities because it enhances a lot of comprehension from students. So it requires definitely a lot of preparation. So my recommendation is that if you want to do something like this in your class, read exactly what you want them to do, because sometimes you think okay, so it's just this and that, but sometimes it's a little difficult. So my recommendation is, if you want to do something like this, always be prepared with instructions, with examples, for them to actually know what they have to do, because it might be easy for us, but it's definitely very complex for them. No matter if they are in level 1 or if they are advanced, sometimes it's complicated for them. Okay. Any comments that you would like to mention about this particular activity?
Well, teacher, all these options assumes that you are working with a presential classroom. I mean, with people inside the room in a normal way.
Yeah, well, not necessarily. For example, especially this one, using the breakout rooms, it's the same. We do. I would definitely, always be prepared and include this in your lesson plan, but it can be online.
Okay.
And it can be offline, or like in a classroom. Here, the benefit is that we have the breakout rooms. So the breakout rooms is like when they have the option to work as experts, and then you put them in specific groups. So yeah, we have to be aware that right now, because it's online, they can still do it because we have the breakout rooms. So that's the benefit of at least having Zoom and having the breakout rooms, because we are not limited in having them participate together or work together. Because if that were the case, a lot of people wouldn't. Honestly, I don't think a lot of people would be still studying until, if they didn't have that opportunity of working together in pairs or in small groups or big groups. So that's the benefit that we have right now. And what we used to do in the classroom, now we're doing it online, and we just have to find a way to make sure that they understand that even though I'm not in every group at the same time, I'm still going to be like coming and going, because I also want to make sure what they are doing is okay. So yeah, they can be used online as well.
Okay.
All right. Any other comment? All right. So we're going to continue with the next one. This one is also yours, right, Genesis?
I don't see that it changed the slide.
Oh, give me a second. The corner jigsaw? Can you see it or not?
Like the description.
I think the thing is that I think Genesis is having internet connection problems. All right, so it's okay. I can read it. So basically, corner jigsaw is pretty similar to jigsaw reading. The only difference is that it says in here. Again, it can be for reading, it can be for grammar, it can be for vocabulary, whatever. You need to. The only thing that you need to do is plan the activity with a specific objective. If it's grammar, if it's listening, if it's reading, okay. So basically your classroom you're gonna put something in every corner of the classroom, and basically the students are going to be separated in different like parts of the classroom. So you know what, Alejandro, you're gonna be in corner 1, Andrea, you're gonna be in corner 2, Astor, you're gonna be in 3, Ulises on 4, and maybe I put something in the middle, and Hassan, you're gonna be here. So you're gonna have the opportunity to do whatever you have to do in your corner, and then when you finish, you're going to work as a whole, not as a whole group, but with your team, and just complete the information the teacher wants you to complete. So that's pretty much it. Everybody is separated, again, depending on the objective. Again, this is all the whole classroom management thing. Where are you going to put them? And once they finish collecting the information, they are going to go back to their original group or team, and they are going to share all of the information they found out from the corner. So that's pretty much, I mean, the only thing is the focus on the activity. If it's a reading, if it's a listening, if it's grammar, what is it? And depending on that, they are going to come back to their group and share whatever they have to share. Okay? Have you ever done something like this? No?
Well, I have not experienced that situation, teacher, but one of my relatives, I mean, a little girl, she's 8 years old, told me that he had different experience before the pandemic, at her school. You know, in few words, she used to be learning by playing most of the time.
Yeah. Yeah, in this case, and I guess that we can say, I mean, it might not be like exactly like playing around, but depending on what you want them to do, sometimes they are going to see it like that.
Yeah, because she's not at kindergarten, she's at 5th grade.
Yeah, and it helps a lot. These activities help a lot to develop critical thinking. Do you know what critical thinking is?
That you have to think about it.
Yeah, and it has especially critical thinking right now is something that is part of the 21st century skills, which is something that we want them to develop, not even if it's in an English class. Critical thinking is them analyzing, evaluating, reflecting, questioning whatever they are doing. So these activities allow them to experience more. 1, because they are doing individually, but 2, because they get the opportunity to cooperate with others. So individuality and cooperation is something that in the end helps us learn even more, because I'm not listening to the teacher just going on and on and on in an English class in this case. So that's the whole idea of critical thinking, but this is specific activities. Okay. Anyone who wants to mention something about this activity? No? All right. So we're gonna, I guess that we have time for, this one is yours, right, Hassan?
Yes.
Okay, so let's finish with this one, and then I'm gonna let you go because you're gonna have your class.
Okay, so round robin toss, it's like I'm thinking about activity. It will be like more useful for speaking activities. If we are like in a group of 3 or 4, like if I am the one that who has like the board, so it's my turn like to talk and to give my opinion. Also, when I finish it, giving my opinion or answering some question, then I can throw the ball. It could be like the one who is next to me or front to me, and then he will take turn to give his or her opinion or answering question. After he or she finishes it, he throw the ball again to the next one. It's
Yes.
like that was, yeah.
Hmm. Have you ever done something like this? I would say that I guess this is something also very common, but have you ever done something like this?
In my case, yes, we have done it like when we went like for teaching writing or reading, we did it like for to activate our schemata.
Okay.
Yeah, we did it like in as a whole group where we'll also like sitting and also like a teacher give the ball of one of us
Hmm.
and also give her like, do you know what means this vocabulary or something like that? And the person when he finished it, he threw it to someone else, and also he has to ask to answer the question, and also like it goes until we finished. All of us like giving opinion.
Okay. So who was your teacher? Edna.
Yeah, it was Edna. Also like it was with teacher
Amalia.
Amalia.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is interesting.
Yeah. So I think the three of us are doing the same activity sometimes. Um, yeah, that's something very common that we do. Especially when we want them to speak. And as you're saying, just like even it can be guided with specific questions, or just having them like share to activate schemata, as Hassan is mentioning, is very also uh, very interesting because I would say that sometimes students get nervous, but they get nervous, but in a funny way because they're like, like I have all of this information, and what should I say? I don't want the other person to win what I'm going to say. So that's when like they get engaged in in those situations. So this is something that is very interesting to apply. And again, just remember that all of these activities is for them to start working individually, but in the end, they are going to work cooperatively. That's the whole idea. They start working individually, yes, but in the end, the whole activity is for them to work in a cooperative way. So this, I would say that this activity is very, the round robin task is very, it might be simple, but you can get a lot from the students when you do an activity like this. Unfortunately, online it's a little difficult because we cannot be throwing the
Mhm.
the ball or whatever we want to throw to the computer. But I mean, I guess that we just have to adapt. There has to be a round robin task in a way to do it online, but we just need to find a way. Okay, but it's something that is very, again, it's simple, it's fun, and if you do it like, or if you ask the correct questions, you're going to have your students very engaged. Okay, so let's stop right now because I don't want to take more time from the class, from the next class you have. We're gonna continue with this one, this presentation on Wednesday. So just please work on the essay, and you have tomorrow my hour. You can take it to work on that. And just remember that it's for Sunday, okay?
Mhm.
All right.
Okay.
So I'm gonna let you go. Have a wonderful day, and I'll see you next week, okay?
Okay,
Thank you,
teacher.
Miss.
Thank you. Take
Yes.
You
care.
too.
Thank you. You too. Bye-bye.
Bye.
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 Bye, thank you.